Part 1, A Chance to Escape. You know, Anya said, swirling the wine in her glass as she gazed out at the lake. I always thought solitude would be peaceful, but this place, it's unsettling. Unsettling? Sophie's voice crackled through the speakerphone. You've been there for 2 days, and already you're spooked? It's a rental, not a haunted mansion. Anya sighed. It's not the house. It's the silence. It's too much. After her divorce, Anya had jumped at the chance to escape the city. A quaint lakeside cabin seemed perfect, a way to disconnect and rediscover herself. But the isolation was heavier than she anticipated, like a weight pressing down on her chest. Part 2, The Unseen Visitor. The first night was restless. Every creak of the wooden floor, every rustle outside, jolted her awake. The second night, it was worse. As she was closing the blinds, a strange light in the distance caught her eye. It hovered above the tree line, pulsing faintly. Anya's heart raced as she watched it disappear, only to reappear moments later, closer this time. Probably a drone, she muttered, trying to convince herself. But drones didn't emit that low, resonating hum that seemed to vibrate through her bones. Part 3, Into the Unknown. Curiosity, or perhaps foolishness, got the better of her. Armed with a flashlight and her grandfather's old hunting knife, she ventured into the forest. The air was thick, heavy with an electric charge that made her skin prickle. The light was ahead, growing brighter, pulling her deeper into the woods. What she found was beyond comprehension, a sleek, metallic craft hovering inches above the ground. It pulsed with an otherworldly glow, its surface shifting like liquid metal. Before she could process what she was seeing, a figure emerged. It was tall and slender, its eyes large and black, its presence both terrifying and mesmerizing. Anya froze. The figure raised a hand, or what she assumed was a hand, and in her mind, she heard a voice. You are not alone. Part 4, A Night to Forget. Anya woke up in her bed, drenched in sweat. Sunlight streamed through the curtains, casting a warm glow on the familiar surroundings of the guest room. For a brief, blissful moment, she thought it had all been a nightmare. But then she noticed the small, triangular mark on the inside of her wrist, 3 tiny dots arranged in a perfect triangle. Her stomach churned as the memories of the previous night came flooding back. The light, the figure, the voice, it had all been real. She stumbled to the bathroom and splashed cold water on her face, trying to calm her racing thoughts. As she stared at her reflection in the mirror, she noticed something else. Her eyes, usually a soft hazel, now had a faint, metallic sheen to them. Panic surged through her as she tried to rationalize what was happening. Part 5, The Awakening. The sound of her phone ringing jolted her out of her thoughts. She ran back to the bedroom and grabbed it, relief flooding her when she saw Sophie's name on the screen. Sophie! Thank God! Anya cried, her voice trembling. Something happened last night. I don't know how to explain it, but... Anya, Sophie interrupted, her tone unusually serious. You need to get out of there. Right now. What? Why? What's going on? I don't have time to explain, but I did some digging after you called. That area where you're staying, there have been reports. Strange sightings, disappearances. People who've gone there and never come back. Anya's blood ran cold. What do you mean? What kind of reports? Just get out, Anya. Please. I'll meet you at my place. We'll figure this out together. The line went dead. Anya stared at the phone, her mind racing. Sophie's urgency only added to her growing sense of dread. She packed her belongings in record time, throwing everything into her duffel bag without care. As she stepped out onto the porch, she glanced back at the forest one last time. The clearing where the craft had been was empty, but the memory of it burned vividly in her mind. She got into her car and sped down the gravel driveway, her heart pounding with every mile that put distance between her and the house. But even as the countryside blurred past her window, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. Epilogue: The mark left behind. Anya never returned to the cabin. At Sophie's insistence, she underwent every test and scan imaginable. But doctors found nothing unusual, except for the triangular mark on her wrist, which they dismissed as a minor skin irritation. Weeks turned into months, and Anya tried to move on. But the memories lingered, vivid and unrelenting. She couldn't forget the figure, the voice, the way it spoke to her without words. One night, as she was getting ready for bed, she noticed the mark on her wrist glowing faintly. Her heart raced as she stared at it, a single thought echoing in her mind: you are not alone. The hum returned, faint, almost imperceptible, but unmistakable. Anya stood frozen, staring out the window as a light appeared in the distance, pulsing softly. The nightmare wasn't over. It had only just begun.